A Virginia Beach couple is demanding justice after their grandson died recently.
His father says it happened when the boy got stuck in a clothes dryer, but the child's grandparents say they do not believe it. 13
News Now reporter Adriana De Alba learned why in an interview you'll only see on 13 News Now.
Brantley Lloyd was their daughter's son. But so understandably, the grandparents are going through a mix of emotions right now. They tell me their daughter didn't have custody of the 3-year-old, but they were still a part of his life. Now they want answers about his death.
Tonight, 3-year-old Brantley's grandmother is mourning his death.
I'm angry. I'm sad. I don't know, I have mixed emotions right now. I want answers and I want justice for my grandson.
As Kathy and Benjamin Ray try to come to grips with losing their grandson, they're holding on to memories of him.
But a sweet child. He was. He was a very happy child.
I mean, he'd come in the door screaming, "Me, Papa," he was running down the hallway.
Yeah.
Earlier this month, the boy's dad, Chet Lloyd, told the Virginian pilot Brantley died August 7th, a day after his 3rd birthday. He told the paper Brantley crawled out of his crib, went downstairs, and got into the clothes dryer. When Lloyd found him unresponsive, he called 911. According to the father, this happened at his Virginia Beach apartment. We've learned since then his landlord evicted him. As Virginia Beach police investigate Brantley's death, the boy's grandparents are pleading for answers.
I want the real truth. Because I'm not buying, even from the day one that I was told he was in the dryer. I said, no, I'm not buying that story at all.
4 days after Brantley died, officers arrested Lloyd, charging him with domestic assault, destruction of property, and possession of drugs. He's scheduled to appear in court tomorrow for the drug charge, but none of this is related to Brantley's death.
I don't care if he's in possession or whatever it is. I want him to be in there for Brantley.
The family held a funeral service for Brantley last weekend, but Lloyd, Brantley's father, did not attend. Adriana De Alba, 13 News Now.